Okay, we're live now. So, hi everyone. Hi Richard, you were the first. Hi Donna Bass, good to see you. I hope sound and image is okay. Usually it's a sound issue, so please tell me. Then I will explain you what's going on with this live, and then of course introduce my super cool guests. So let me know if the sound is okay. And meanwhile, I will try. Hi, Andrew, as well. Thanks for coming. So it seems if you don't complain, the sound is okay, right, guys? Just let me know a second. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Donna Bass. So I'm live tonight. It's a long-awaited live show I wanted to do. Lots of issues last year, etc. Let's forget it. So apologies if the samples are not super updated compared to what you can find in your place. But it was a rare opportunity for me. I did already a video about Shelter Point, about 2 expressions. There will be a link below in the description. I already said a few things about Canadian whiskey and a big topic. And I have another one to do with Davin de Kergomo as well, which is very late. But tonight, one of the most fascinating craft distillery very remote from my place, which is called Shelter Point. And with no further introduction, I'm going to introduce first. I have 2 guests. First guest I have is, of course, Leon. Hi, Leon, from Shelter Point Distillery. And I will let you introduce yourself in a second. So Leon is the head distiller, right, from the Shelter Point Distillery?
Yes, that's right, Greg. Head distiller at Shelter Point. So I'm in charge of putting all the liquid in the bottles.
So Shelter Point Distillery is a craft Canadian distillery located in Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. Many of you know that, founded in 2009. You will tell me if I'm wrong. The idea started in 2005 when a farmer, Patrick Evans, decided to produce grains and barley for distilling whiskey. And for those who wonder, but for that I have to bring my second guest. I think it will be better. FOODQUIG. Hi, Andy. And
Hi,
thank
Greg.
you so much, because this live show couldn't have been taking place to start with, because I'm in France and you both are in Canada, not so far one from the other, without a super generous gift from Andy of 13 samples. And also because I'm a bit fetishist, most of them are refilled in old minis from the distillery. So I find it even cooler. So they're not samples from the distillery, but in a way they are. So again, 1,000 thanks to you, Andy. So I did have fun to... So I am 7,934 kilometers to, I forgot, Cadwell River, right? Where
Campbell
the
River,
distillery
that's right,
is located here, while FOODQUIG is in Victoria, so more in the south, at around 264 kilometers here, right?
Yeah, right about there, yeah.
Which, as I saw in the internet, around 3 hours 37 by car from the distillery.
It's about right, unless you stop a few times on the way.
Yeah, of course. So quite a remote distillery from me, but also, and I'm gonna let you speak a bit about how this all started before we try first dram. And hi, Whiskey Novice, and hi everyone coming in. Yeah, it's the first question for Leon. So your journey prior to become Shelter Point's head distiller is quite singular and impressive. How did you get there to start with, and why choose the west of Canada and not another place in Canada, or say in Ireland, for instance? Subsidiary question: did you felt like Graham Cole from Glen Murray moving from there to Scotland to Ireland to work with Dingle, with less tight regulations than in Scotland, or for another reason, for instance, snowboarding. I heard you like.
Absolutely, yeah. And don't forget the wife too. My wife's Canadian, so that's a big reason.
Yeah, and also because you. Oh no, Lydia is not. Your partner is not from Canada, right?
She's from Kitsilano, Vancouver, so she's very much a BC girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was not the main reason to move there, right?
No, it was one of them. So first of all, thank you very much, Greg, for having us on today, and thank you everyone for joining us, giving up your free time to spend a part of your day with us. We very much appreciate it.
Very welcome, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And this is a good chance for everyone to learn about Shelter Point. So please feel free to put in as many questions as you can and ask anything you like. We're pretty open here. We're pretty transparent. We don't have any strict corporate policies about, not being able to disclose this or that. So yeah, feel free to shoot from the hip if you like. So my journey, I was born in the Highlands of Scotland.
Your sound is a bit. Can you repeat, please, the
Sure,
first?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay, FOODQUIG?
Oh yeah, I hear you great. I got surround sound and everything.
Yeah, it might be your headset, Greg. I don't know, but I'll keep going.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so started in the Highlands of Scotland, and I grew up in the Speyside region of Scotland, near lots of those famous Speyside distilleries. And it took me a long time to realize it, but I guess whiskey was in the blood, right from the place where I spent my youth. Originally, I got distracted by finance, and I went into banking for about 10 years. I was doing lots of spreadsheet work, working on Bloomberg terminals, moving money around, all that kind of stuff. And then I eventually decided that I wanted to do something more tangible. So I went back to university, studied brewing and distilling at Heriot-Watt University, and then got a couple of really good jobs at the start developing gin. So Isle of Harris gin I developed at university as my master's project, and then developed the Kintyre gin, and then went out to Canada after a couple of years to work at Victoria Distillers.
Yeah, that was my next question. So good segue.
Yeah,
and maybe you can answer to Donnerpass in between. I know there will be a lot of questions, but
there are plans. We're actually working on a deal to California right now, so you might have Shelter Point in California before the end of the year.
Ooh, nice.
So a very good timed question there. Thank you very much.
What was the how did the transition went from the Victoria Distillers in Sydney, right? Making gin and other spirits, but not whiskey, right? They don't make whiskey.
Well, I actually increased the production of whiskey at Victoria Distillers 800% in 1 year, from 1 cask to 8 casks.
So they do whiskey as well.
Yeah, it was called the Craig Derrick. And,
I didn't do well my job. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very hard.
I just went on the website, but they didn't mention whiskey. So sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially a big purple gin factory, because I developed the Empress 1908 gin along with a couple of other people, and that was the product that the owner really wanted to go and back fully. So it just became all about the Empress gin, and everything else was secondary. And obviously, when I went to university to study brewing and distilling, like, my main passion was whiskey. That's what I wanted to get into. And I realized that I was quickly becoming sidetracked down this line of gin, which is interesting, but it wasn't where my heart was fully. So it was time to reassess and look at where the best place to make whiskey would be in British Columbia, Canada, because this is where we wanted to live. We lived in Scotland for 14 years, me and Lydia. We actually met in 1999. So we spent a good time in Scotland. and now we wanted to try something different in the new world. And I did a lot of distillery visits, and then I realized that Shelter Point was by far the one that I resonated most with. It's the only coastal farm distillery in the whole of Canada. It's a beautiful property.
Yeah.
It's 400 acres, 2 kilometers of coastline. They grow their own barley. You have that whole farm connection. They had traditional copper pot stills made by Forsyths in Scotland, so it was very much the traditional way of making whiskey. A lot of the whiskey made in British Columbia is actually made in hybrid copper columns, pot columns.
The steer room, sorry.
Yeah,
and those are the Forsyth stills, but you have also column still with 20 plates, right, for the gin?
Yeah, yeah. So when I arrived, they said that we weren't going to make any gin or vodka, and that was part of the hook of getting me there. And then within 6 months of me arriving, they bought a gin still. So they, yeah, they wanted me to make a gin as well. With my pedigree in making gin, they're like, okay, we might as well do a Shelter Point gin as well, and then add that to the portfolio, and that will help fund the whiskey production.
So still having issues, let's say 3.5 out of 5 or sometimes 3 in terms of quality of listening. I hope it's okay for the people in the chat, but we're still going to try to continue because it's so rare to have this opportunity to interview you. Hope it will come across well to people. I have another question, and maybe we could move to a first drum. We'll see. So obviously you're from Scottish origin, we can say that. You want to say something special about that?
Best place to be born in the world, in my opinion. You know, if you're born in Scotland, you're born in heaven. I mean, you got all these beautiful distilleries right in your doorsteps, and it's one of the best places in the world to go to pubs and to learn about booze. And you know, they've got a very long tradition and history in Scotland of making whiskey, and they're very, very concerned about quality. And
could we say? Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. For all the criticisms that the SWA get, you know, the Scotch Whisky Association, they actually perform a very valuable role, and defending that quality throughout the world has helped the industry massively. You know, the reputation is everything as a distillery or a country. So, you know, if you have a reputation for quality, that's probably the most prized asset you can have. Whether it's like champagne or cognac or, you know, whiskey or
Could we say that, to go back to my first question, that you were thinking of bringing your Scottish roots and experience to Canada to have something more free to work your skills with and to let you more possibilities, or it's just the opportunity to go there? Because you fell in love with the landscape. I read you fell in love with the landscape, but also maybe the rules, regulations were more attractive to you. That's why I ask about Graham Cool. It's no shame to say that, I think.
Well, life is a journey of learning, and the opportunity to learn out here was marvelous because there are more freedoms. There's more innovation possibilities, and we've won a couple of awards now for innovation at Shelter Point, making, for example, 100% unmalted barley whiskey and aging it in blackberry wine casks, which produced a superb result for the Montfort 141.
Good transition.
Yeah, exactly. Which is just what I poured right now. So yeah, if you've got one, we might as well have a wee drink.
Yeah, just before that, I'm gonna head over to Andy in Victoria, so not so far. So Andy, your FOODQUIG, it's the name of your channel. You're one of the oldest YouTube channel talking about whiskey, right?
Well, no, there are people who have been around longer than me. Say,
yeah, Ralphie maybe, but
Ralphie for sure.
Not much many more.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I only got into doing it on on videos after watching the Scotch Test Dummies and Ralphie and Horst Leuning, and those guys have all been around longer than me. I mean, I've been on YouTube since 2006, but I haven't been doing whiskey for more than about the last 6 years.
Okay, but you're one of you still.
Years, I think. The way it started
for many
was,
of us. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. The FOODQUIG channel started as a spin-off from my original channel, and it was me and my partner. We would go to restaurants and we would try the food. We would taste what they had at the restaurants, and we would, you know, we would rate what we were eating. And the way the whiskey started was I would have a dram at the end of my end of the meal. So we had the meal, I'd have a dram, and it started like that. And I would taste whiskey, and then I would bring whiskey home, and then I would started doing videos of trying whiskey. And
to go to our topic tonight, how did you come across the brand Shelter Point first, and then to meet Leon? And I'm gonna let you speak after. I'm gonna say that I really recommend you, if you haven't seen this video, this crazy video of almost 1 hour. It's a distillery visit from Andy at Shelter Point Distillery in 2020, and it was really a delight to see his visit, and also to watch all the beautiful location and beautiful how the distillery is made up and conceived, and from the still room, and also the more technical stuff we can see. I will have question about you, but we'll see if we have time. And then the incredible warehouse, and after I will ask a question about the warehouse to Leon. Go ahead, and we're gonna pour us the Montfort 151 while you're answering.
Yeah, I got some right here. And oh, great big drops coming down the side there. Great big drops. Here's how I found Shelter Point. One day I was doing my shopping, and I went into a liquor store, and there it was on the shelf, Shelter Point. I'd never heard of it before. And this must be about 4 years ago, something like that, maybe 5 years ago. And I saw Shelter Point, and it said on the bottle, inaugural release. So it was the first release of Shelter Point, and it was a version of this guy here, the artisanal single malt.
We're gonna try.
So I bought it. I brought it home. I tried it. That video, I think, is still available somewhere on YouTube. And then I met Leon for the first time at Victoria Whiskey Festival. And we were just in the lobby at the Grand Pacific Hotel, and we just started talking, started a conversation, and he told me he was from Shelter Point, and I said, well, that's really cool. And then I think we hung out for a little bit, and I think it was the following year where he invited me to come on up to the distillery. Or was it 2 years later? I don't remember. It's a big hazy thing. The last whiskey festival. The last whiskey festival before. Sorry.
Did you went before the one we did the video about, or where the video was the first time you went there?
The video was the first time I went to Shelter Point. Yeah, I had never been there before. I was amazed and astounded by the hospitality of Leon and Lydia. They made me feel right at home, as if I was family.
We can see that in the video.
Yeah, it was just
and
wonderful.
Also, it shows in the video. So everybody, please, after that, check out the video. I will put the link in the description anyway. Or if in a hurry, leave this and go watch the. No, don't do that, please. But after that, please have a.
Where'd Greg go?
I don't know. Maybe we should just have a wee dram food quick. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I got some Montfort. I got some Montfort 151 right here. So.
Yeah, that was good times, Food Quick. We should do it again. You're always welcome. So come back up. And
I would love to.
Sorry about that. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Something went wrong in the. I hope it was not too long.
Oh, no, we were just trying the Montfort 151.
Yeah. So can you please tell us about this, Leon, and we're gonna try it along.
Okay, so this whiskey, when you hear Montfort, think provenance. Montfort equals provenance. This is our provenance dram. Every single thing in this whiskey was done at Shelter Point Distillery and Farm. So it's all barley from the farm, 100% unmalted barley, which is quite unusual. There's not too many unmalted barley whiskies out there. Because it's 100% unmalted barley, we had to use enzymes to make the conversion of starch to sugars, which we then fermented into beer and distilled into whiskey. It spent about 5 years in ex-bourbon casks, and it's just a really light, easy drinking kind of breakfast whiskey. Quite a grain-forward profile, a bit of caramel and vanilla from the bourbon influence. But yeah,
nice. Really,
it's a good, honest presentation. It's unchill filtered, 46% alcohol by volume. In fact, all our whiskies here at Shelter Point are unchill filtered, natural color. So you never have to worry about any E150A or spirit caramel being added. And yeah, we just give it to you as we get it. And yeah, this is just a nice, easy entry-level whiskey. It's actually one of the most inexpensive whiskies on our lineup. So you can get this for about $65 a bottle, including tax, and that's Canadian dollars. Available from our website, shelterpoint.ca.
And you're quite innovative with the glass stopper, which I think I see very rarely in the whiskey world. Very few brands. It started with the wine industry to use glass stoppers instead of corks. And I really dig this, even if I haven't got a bottle yet. But I had tried a glass wine bottle with a glass stopper, and I found this very interesting and secure. So
it's a great way of storing whiskey, because you actually get a much better seal from this glass stopper than you would a cork, and you don't have to worry about cork degradation.
Yeah, like I have home a lot because I'm in the attic and it's hot and it's a big trouble for me. So I'm willing everyone to do this kind of things, or silicone stoppers when they're safe for food use, alcohol use, I mean. And there are some in German whiskies and French whiskies. And now I really need everything to be like that, because unfortunately the corks are not always of good quality, I think, even in Scotland. But yeah, to me, at the first try, and I hope the connection will stay, I had a very clean, very clear cereal notes from the barley. And interestingly, I had earlier on today, that's also, we had to change the schedule from tomorrow to today. I had 5 tastings of French whiskies from Edu, La Distillerie des Menhirs. And one of them was a whiskey made of unmalted barley as well. So very interesting for me to have this in comparison, if you don't have it face to face. But and the thing that strikes me on the two is the estery aromatic profile that comes across strong. But in your version, I think, what's the age of this one again? 3 years old?
About 5 years old, that one.
5, okay.
Yeah.
The other one was younger. It comes across older and more refined. So we have to speak at some point of how you work with the wash and fermenting, the length, etc. So I have not to forget to ask you about that, unless you want to speak about that now.
It's a good point you made about the estuary profile, because a lot of Shelter Point whiskey is quite fruity in nature because we have such a long fermentation. So our fermentation typically lasts between 4 and 7 days.
Ooh, that's the difference. That's what I saw somewhere, but it is. I think it is unique. In order to people, for people watching to understand, let's take an example of a small distillery, or let's say something decent, Ben Romer. The fermentation time is 72 to 120 hours. So it's way less than you, right?
Yeah. I mean, the longest in Scotland used to be Scapa, I think, which was 160 hours, but then they changed their production, and I think it's only 80 hours now. But yeah, like we're a full week when we're single shifting. When we're double shifting, it's more like 4 days on average. But it's still a lot longer than the vast majority of Scotch distilleries.
Glenroth is, for instance, 55 hours. I'm surprised.
Yeah, most Scottish distilleries will probably be between 48 and 56 hours around there.
Yeah, 70 at the max. I think Balblair was a bit more, 100 maybe. Yeah, so is this for you that what gives the house style, or is it only one element?
It's one of the key factors which makes us different, for sure. I mean, we do have probably one of the longest fermentations of any single malt distillery, probably in the world. I mean, certainly, compared to Scotch, we're a lot longer than most. And I think it really helps the spirit. And you notice it when you smell the fermenters every day. After like day 5, 6, 7, you end up with a lot more fruity esters coming out of the fermentation tanks, and you can smell it. Donna's asking, do you cool your fermentation tanks to slow things down? The answer is yes. We do have cooling jackets on our fermenters, so we can actually put a maximum temperature on our fermentation just to retard the fermentation. And say, for example, today I've been making sourdough loaves. So what I'll do is I'll actually start with cold water just to slow things down and just do a nice slow fermentation. And I think that really helps develop flavor as well.
Yeah, I struggle to understand everything because of the connection, and it might be on my side, so I'm trying to shut down.
Did you hear all that, FOODQUIG?
Almost
I hear
everything.
It fine, yeah.
Yeah, FOODQUIG can hear everything fine. So yeah,
I hope it will work. Okay, let's move then. Very interesting, to the Montfort 151. So 100% unmalted barley, 46%, 5 years old. What do you get yourself, Leon, and maybe after Andy? If you have it, Andy, I'm not sure.
Yeah, lots of grain, caramel, vanilla. There's almost like a slight almondy note in there.
Got some nice apples, a bit baked as well. This is way... To explain to people, I tried most of these samples 5 months ago, and some of them I wasn't super enthusiastic about them because they were closed. The samples didn't breathe, and some of those I retried in between, and especially 3 prior to the live show, they did open up spectacularly. So it's always better to have the experience in a bottle. That's why I'm going to hand over to Andy for each, and of course to Leon. But it's still a rare opportunity to have these, because we don't have them in France to start with, which will be one of my questions. When in France? But You can answer this now if you like.
Yeah, I mean, like it's glad I'm glad you mentioned that, because France, I'm not sure if it still is, but it used to be the largest market for Scotch by volume.
I know.
Is it still the case?
It is still the case, but for blended whiskey, for single malt, we're probably the second or the third, but the United States are supposed to be the first one, and we're just behind it. But then we, for something as craft as Shelter Point, we rely more on retailers and specialized retailers to have an access to it. So it's the 2 or 3 main distribution. We can speak about that in private as well, but you will have to go through some almost monopolistic systems here to get them. And I'm not sure.
Or maybe like La Maison du Whisky, or
but Maison du Guys, the 2 main.
He's gone again.
Yeah, I think his internet issues are not completely repaired yet.
No. Oh well.
I think he's coming back.
I don't know. Connection is so bad today. I'm sorry, Leon.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's not anything you can control, so we just make the best of it.
Donopes, I didn't have the problems before with the headphone, so I'm not sure it's that. We're gonna try to continue despite this. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, game on, as they say in Canada. Game on.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so okay, let's go back to Montfort, which is the name. I forgot. I read it. I'm sorry, but I forgot. It's the name of the place.
So Montfort is the original owner of the farm. Apparently, he was some rich person from New York, and he put 13 parcels of land together to make the farm. And then right in the middle of the farm is Montfort House, which was his main residence when he was here. So the name Montfort relates to the person that created the farm.
Okay, let's go to the palate now before we get cut.
I was getting a lot of grain at the beginning and some caramel, some fruitiness. But now that I'm nosing it, I'm getting definitely the Tootsie Roll chocolate. I often get Tootsie Roll chocolate from different editions of Shelter Point, but this one, after it's been open for a while and been sitting in the glass, it opens up and there it is. And on the palate, let's see what we get.
The first time you mentioned Tootsie Roll, FOODQUIG, I had no idea what you were talking about, and then I saw it in the sweet shop. So I'm going to have to buy one of these to figure out what this Tootsie Roll chocolate note is all about that FOODQUIG keeps going on about. So I bought one of the Tootsie Rolls, took it home, had a bite. It's like, yeah, I know what he's talking about now. That's exactly it.
And to be honest, I haven't had a Tootsie Roll chocolate in probably 25 years, but it takes me right back as soon as I nose it. I go, yeah, that's Tootsie Roll chocolate.
Yeah, I know you said that, but I don't know what it is. So I have no idea what it is.
So somebody's asking about plans for a Montfort 161. I can update you on that. So the latest release of Montfort is actually going to come out very shortly. And what we're going to do is we're just going to simplify everything, and we're just taking the numbers off. So it's just going to be called Montfort from now on, and it's going to be one of our core expressions. So going forward, it's just going to be Montfort with no district lot 141 or 151 or 161. So
it's not going to go by batch number, and it's not going to go by, we're over here very often we have a bottle 78 out of 1,644. You're not going to have any more of that, and it won't say batch. It will just say Montfort, and that's it.
Yeah, Montfort will just be our provenance whiskey. So when you buy Montfort, you'll know that all the barley came from the farm, and that'll be that. Yeah, and
it will be a lot like the core range artisanal single malt. There's no batch number on this or bottle number. Core range. Okay.
So for those coming now, we're having the Montfort 151, which is 2020 release, and it's a single, we can say that single grain because it's unmalted barley, right?
Yeah. It's a single grain whiskey, Canadian single grain. That's right.
In case you were wondering, in case anyone was wondering, I have bottle 1,415 out of 2,388.
Can you disclose? Hi, Romain. Good to see you there. We have connection issues, but I hope it will stay. I forgot what I have to say. Yeah, I was going to say I have some fresh wood, sawdust, but not overpowering. I have some nutmeg now. I have less esters on the palate than on the nose. All in all, a nice whiskey. I'm gonna put some drops of water. But I like the fact, Leon, there's a lot of releases that play on innovation, also different cask type, different approaches. I have questions about your rye later on. Very intrigued. But yeah, you use wine cask. Do you have a number of different casks or you use, or we don't have to number them, but just quote them maybe?
Yeah, we have a wide range of cask finishes available. So most of what we make goes into ex-bourbon, but when we finish whiskey, we can choose between ex-Islay casks, and that could be Ardbeg or Laphroaig.
Yeah, I saw those casks. Virgin Oak as well. I saw in the FOODQUIG'S documentary. You can say documentary, yeah. You showed and he tried Virgin Oak, so local BC, British Columbia wine casks, sherry, port. I don't remember if you did port. You have port casks?
No port. No.
Could be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, we would love to have more port and sherry, but it's actually quite hard to get out here all the way on the west coast of Canada. We're a long way away from those sherry bodegas in Spain. So yeah, it's not as easy as when you're in Scotland.
There's also no corn.
No corn as well, no. But we do rye, wheat, barley, and somebody just asked a question there about single cask rye that we've been doing. The previous ones have all been rye from Alberta distillers. So the 100% rye that you're quite familiar with, like Alberta Premium. We actually had a batch of their spirit early on before we had any whiskey of our own. And that stuff was really good, like 9 to 10 years old, maybe a bit more. But what we've done in the meantime is we've made our own 100% rye whiskey, which is maturing right now. So
this was one of my questions.
A few years' time, we'll have our own. Yeah.
So you did source in the past some rye whiskies. I saw that in the Andy's video, and then.
Dun, dun, dun. And then ... Greg disappears again.
Greg disappears. Yeah. So there's going to be some more rye coming up. That's good. I look forward to it.
Yeah. We're going to have 100% rye made in copper pot stills, FOODQUIG. So, if you can think about rye being made on traditional Scotch whiskey stills, I think that's quite rare. It's not done very often.
It's usually done with column stills, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, once again.
Yeah, no problem. I was just saying to FOODQUIG there, Greg, that we've made rye on traditional copper pot stills from Scotland. So that's quite rare. It's not something that I've seen much of elsewhere. And the flavor is really good already. Like we've...
Looking forward to see, Leon, if it can rival with this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
One of my very favorite. And also I cherish this one because it's signed by Don.
Oh, Dr. Don Livermore, superb.
Yeah, I had the chance to have him live here, and I will have him later on. And really, it was a great meeting to speak to me about whiskey, even beyond his brands And really, I'm so happy to have you two, Don and Leon. For me, you're two different aspects of the Canadian whiskey industry, and I couldn't
almost
imagine
sounds like a gangster film, like Don Leon.
Don Leon.
So, Don Leon, Don and Leon. Sounds a bit mafia, right? The
Yeah, exactly. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. Yeah.
Excuse me, guys, if I can't see you in the chat, but it's getting crazy with the disconnection. So
someone's just asking about the new releases coming up in the next months. So I'll answer that question now. So we have Ripple Rock coming out, hopefully around November. We're hoping for another collective to come out before the end of the year. And we are also working on another 10-year-old Shelter Point, but this time at 46% alcohol. The previous one was at cask strength, so this will be a lower strength 10-year-old.
And Peter is telling us things before we even know here.
And I would agree with Peter, because I tasted that Shelter Point rye that we aged from Alberta distillers, and I was just blown away with how good
I
it
have
was.
some.
Yeah, and I compared it to like other ryes from around Canada. I was like, wow, this really does stand up. It's really got some great flavors, and that's the one.
Someone need to send me a sample of this rye. Just
and I think part of the beauty was it was maturing next to the ocean on the east coast of Vancouver Island. And I don't think a lot of ryes mature in that kind of climate or environment. And it was also picking up a lot of the kind of like single malt aromas from the warehouse. So it almost had this kind of like vanilla fudge aroma to it. And yeah, it turned out really, really good.
So I enjoyed this one, which was very getting creamy with a few drops of water. Because the connection is so bad, I hope it's gonna not be interrupted too much. We're gonna move to next dram, and then there will be question inevitably for you, Leon, and also feel free, Andy, to give us your feedback. I'm sorry if it's a bit chaotic.
That's okay. I've just been kind of quiet and taking in the whole. What's the word? I think I'm getting demented or something.
So we're now moving, guys, to the artisanal single malt.
Oh, right.
Which I hope some of you have. I don't know in the chat, probably Peter and others. Yeah, hi, Cohen. There's some coming on, Leon told us earlier on. Yeah, California in a few months. Thanks, Donna Bass.
Yeah. Just one pallet, though, so you'll have to be quick.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about this one? American oak, right?
So this is our artisanal single malt. It's our core expression. This is the one that we eventually hope to see on all the bars around the world, in all the airport lounges. It's 100% single malt, double distilled in traditional copper pot stills, aged in ex-bourbon and a bit of virgin oak. And yeah, this is going to be our, eventually our Shelter Point 10 or Shelter Point 12 that will be available around the world.
What's the proportion, Leon, between the American oak and the virgin oak on this one?
It's about 50-50. Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a lot.
The age of this one will it always be the same, or do you plan? I heard you plan to release an 8 years old, maybe a 10. You did already an 8, I think.
Yeah, we've done an 8 and a 10. Now this one here is actually about 5 years old, so it's still quite young. And the thing that we've had to struggle with is the first few years the production was quite lumpy. So, some years we would make a lot, some years we didn't make nearly enough. So in terms of that steady stock available for larger releases, that didn't really start until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. So you know, we're getting to the point where we can have a more consistent product and not so much batch to batch variation.
I wish you so, because it will mean we will have here some in France.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's many thirsty French people that need to be quenched.
How far is, and we'll go back to the question. No, it's not this one. Sorry. I forgot. How far? So I saw in FOODQUIG'S in Andy's video that the farm is right a few meters, if not 2 meters, 1 meter up to the distillery. So the barley fields, I mean. So we can speak about local barley, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how far all the barley goes, I mean, to all the expressions, or you're obliged to bring some extra barley from outside the farm, or everything is sufficient for your production?
So we grow maybe 200 to 300 tons of barley on the farm. This is not enough. We need more. So it probably supplies maybe 50% of what we need. So we buy the rest from Gambrinus Malting in mainland British Columbia, and then they send it over on the ferry, like the single malt, the malted barley, and it's all BC malted barley. Because we're a craft distillery, there's a very specific license that says that we must use 100% BC ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So all the grain we use, whether it's our own or whether it's from the maltster, has to come from British Columbia.
Nice. If only every country was doing like that. Just saying. Well, for Diageo, it can be difficult, I guess.
Yeah, it might be difficult to come up with an Antarctic whiskey if they have to use Antarctic barley.
Yeah.
But will you state some specific... I say that, I'm sorry, because I don't have the bottles to... do you state this in will you state, like Kilchoman, 100%? No, they say Islay barley. You could say 100% BC barley, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And we could even say for the Mumford, the first one here, we could say, single farm origin, kind of like Waterford Distillery in Ireland. We could say all of this barley came from one farm. So not even one country, one farm. We can go to that level of detail. And the first couple of expressions of Mumford weren't even one farm. They were one field. So that is like micro provenance. We could even specify the field the barley came from.
Nice. Okay, let's get along to the nose to this one. Nice.
Yeah, I'm getting some black licorice on the nose.
Mm-hmm. I'm still having the red apples. I don't know why, and the
red delicious apples.
Now, the single malt, it depends which version you've got. So the most recent one did have virgin oak influence. The previous two had no virgin oak influence.
Okay, this one is 2019 or 2020, I don't know.
This one just says distiller select 46%.
Right, okay. So I suspect the one you have, Greg, has no virgin oak influence.
Yeah, I don't sense it. I don't sense it, honestly.
Yeah. I think yours is 100% ex-bourbon, and the majority of those barrels are ex-Jack Daniels.
Okay, oh, nice.
I think I'm getting a bit of the virgin oak on this one.
Okay. Yeah, when you have them side by side, the old versus the new. It's
incredible fruity. Sorry.
Yeah, the one I sent Greg was from an earlier bottle than this one.
Yeah. And there's even some notes that reminds me of something that's off topic. It's the whiskey I blended that will be out soon. But it's not the same wine casks, which is strange. But I have those almost sour... and I forgot my dictionary. Let me check.
Yeah. I'm definitely getting the virgin oak on the palate too. It really shines.
Let me check 1 second, please. I also have tiny notes. If it works, I'm looking at the translator. I could ask Teddy, but oh my God, it's so long. Groseille. It's a French word. Groseille à la croix.
Gooseberry.
Gooseberry. That's it. Well done. Thanks. How do you know that?
Hour?
How do you know that?
Je m'appelle Leon.
Fantastic. I like that. Yeah, so I get that, but let's go on the palate.
I can't say that I have experienced gooseberry myself because I don't think we have them in Canada.
We had them in Aviemore on the Highlands of Scotland. There are all these gooseberry bushes right next to the railway tracks. Yeah. And you can make like jam out of them and stuff. They're pretty good, but they're quite tart.
They're just not a part of my experience.
Oh no! It's a red currant. Sorry.
Oh, red currant. We had black currants, but not red currants.
Well, there's so many. But you get the picture.
It's a bit of a stretch, but I do get some of that, along with the Tootsie Roll chocolate.
That's some nice roundness again on this red fruit. There's something very clear. The spirit is clean. I don't have any dirty notes.
Currants. Yeah.
Maybe as well.
It's a power of suggestion, I think.
Possibly.
You suggest it, and then I taste it.
It's not Irish, but it has something of some space ciders that goes, even without sherry cask, towards a nicely fruity style, which is a bit unusual, but maybe. I forgot to ask Leon. Do you use brewery yeast or distillery yeast?
So we use Fermentis Spirit Saf M1, which is a distiller's yeast. It comes in 10-kilogram bags, and we basically cut a bag in half, and we throw 5 kilograms in each fermenter. And each fermenter holds 5,000 liters of wash. Okay,
but in terms of profile, because I'm not a maker, you know that, because the only thing I can say as a non-professional on that side is that, for instance, some Belgian or French distilleries that use brewery yeast and not distillery yeast, as the main Scottish do, there's a huge difference in terms of profile, in terms of esters, but also some acidic yeasty elements that are way stronger, and floral elements as well in the brewery yeast than in the other. And here I see some kind of in-between profile that favor that floral and fruity side. So it doesn't come across like a Scottish whiskey for me, but it doesn't come across as an American single malt of the few examples I have as well, which is very interesting. So you have a distillery character. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
I think what happens is we use the distiller's yeast, which gives us a very fast active fermentation for the first 48 hours or so. And then what happens during the longer fermentation is that you end up with a bit of a lactobacillus.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe it's the indication of that.
Yeah.
But it's quite nice, this one. I like it.
Yeah, that one's more of your Speyside style, I would say. That the one you've got there, Greg, is very much like a Speyside. It's quite apple-y and peary, and there's a bit of waxiness to it.
Yeah. For me, it's almost come across as a triple distilled whiskey. It's very refined. Maybe due to this long fermentation, doesn't come across a bold, very heavy, fruity. It's not the current Abelard. It's not Glenfarclas, even when they use bourbon. So it's different, but it's interesting. Would try to open it up. Andy, let me know a bit more your thoughts, please.
Okay. Well, seeing as I'm nosing and tasting not exactly the same whiskey as you are.
Yeah, I know. But it could interest people who can find it currently.
Yeah, I think this is the one that's available currently. at this point, after the Montfort and the rye, I still have some rye here, but I'm getting definitely. You don't. The one you have doesn't have the
virgin oak.
The virgin oak going on.
I don't think so.
Here I'm getting the virgin oak, red delicious apples, a little bit of black licorice.
Oh, no, I don't have that. Interesting.
Tootsie Roll chocolate. A nice malty finish. And the virgin oak really plays a part in this one, in this particular glass, compared to the one you have, which I thought they were all the same, but I've learned differently today.
We keep you on your toes, FOODQUIG.
Yeah, well, I'll try and get everything that you guys produce. As soon as I see the announcement on my email, I right away make a purchase. I order.
May I ask you, Andy, how many shelter points you have so
right
far?
now?
If it's not indiscreet.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wow.
10 or 11 and 2 infinities. And of course, I've made, what, 50 videos of Shelter Point already? Something like that? I don't know. I even have some of these samples that were taken directly from the distillery.
Yeah, I saw you in the video. For the people who come later on, FOODQUIG did almost an hour video, exceptional video in Shelter Point distillery and warehouse. 3 quarters are in the warehouse.
I went
and
back
they
last
did try
summer.
some crazy things. So go check out this video.
I went back last summer, and that's when I received these samples. I didn't drink at the distillery because I was driving back home. So Leon gave me these samples that they were tasting, and I brought them back home and tried them. I did them. I made the videos online of these samples, and they even went into my infinity bottle.
Yeah, and I have one here, the first one, I guess, which is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
and which I rated at first try. Let me check it out where it is. There's so many samples, my God.
Your problems are small there, Greg. Your problems are small because you're only dealing with sample bottles. I'm dealing with the full-size item here.
Anyway, I appreciate it a lot.
It was my pleasure to send those to you, Greg.
I will send you something special. I'm just waiting for its release. But this is fantastic. I gave it a 92.
Whoa!
So which is high praise.
that's my we'll be trying that one later, right?
Yeah. Let me check out the list because I have so many papers here, and with all that happened,
I think we're only on the second of what, 6 whiskeys.
Yeah, we're moving to the one, if you agree or if you have it, but we can switch maybe to the double-barreled, matured 152 days in Quail's Gate Old Vine Foch cask.
I would do the forbidden before that if you have the forbidden. Do you have the forbidden?
I didn't send him one there, Leon.
I don't have the forbidden.
Yeah, no worries.
But I have a double barrel batch number 5.
Yeah, batch 5 of the double barrel. I wanted to try that, and then if you agree on the order, artisanal cask strength, and then the 2 peated expressions.
Oh, okay.
The smoke point and.
I've got another spoiler alert as well.
Yeah.
FOODQUIG talking about his visit just reminded me. Now, remember we found a cask for you, FOODQUIG, the Laphroaig.
Oh, right. Yes.
You fell in love with it, and we said, "Hey, there's your cask, FOODQUIG," and we marked it down for you.
Do you still have some?
No, I drank it all. But we've got another one now.
Yes.
No, we've got the Prohibition release coming up. So we've just celebrated 100 years since the end of Prohibition in Canada. And this one is extra special. This is going to be our first release aged in ex-Ardbeg barrels.
Yes.
Wow.
Because we had the other one. We had the other one from Laphroaig barrels, but now you're doing some Ardbegs. Cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
It's a very different peat profile, but it's absolutely wonderful.
Oh yes.
So can we move to the double barrel old vine Foch cask?
Well, I've got a double barrel, but it's a different one. I've got like batch 6, which is our most recent one.
Okay, I can do batch 6 too. Just hold on, I'll get it.
So maybe I can try it along and we see the differences, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're all basically a variation on a theme, so they're all pretty similar in terms of, you know, what we're trying to achieve here, which is a lot of jamminess, preserve, berries, fruits from the wine cask.
Here it is.
Yeah.
This one does not have a glass stopper. This one actually has a cork.
Oh yeah, I saw your video about that. I was surprised.
Yeah, we've had 3 or 4 different bottles on the shelf in the last few months due to all the supply chain issues. So it's a collector's dream because you've got all these like totally one-off serendipitous bottles that will probably never be seen again.
And it's a synthetic plastic cork.
Yeah, which doesn't bother me because it won't break. So here's the color of mine, so you can see quite reddish or amber or.
Actually, the batch 6 is really wonderful. If you like blackberry wine, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned to enjoy some, especially when I blended 6. Finally, only 5. I went from almost 10 casks to 5. I was very rude to eliminate some, which has some tiny defaults. So I ended up with 4 ex red wine Bordeaux barrels, spoiler, and 1, and so oak casks. And in France, it's allowed to use other cask types, and I have 1 acacia wood ex-Sauterne cask. So sweet wine and red wine. This is totally unexpected for me, but I found those 5 casks stunning, so I wanted to blend them together. And it was very hard to work this out.
Batch 6, we have the same thing now.
Okay, we're in unison. Cheers.
Yep. For the first time. Slanchava.
So this one has a bit of virgin oak in it too. So this is the first double barrel with X wine and a little bit of virgin oak. So it's quite different.
Apologies, guys. I hope there will not be many. Man, false graph is right. With moderation, though.
Yeah.
Don't kill your liver in one time.
Oh, my liver is already dead. It's long gone. I don't know.
You don't need it anyway.
I don't know why I'm still alive, I tell you.
Nice red fruit on this one. We didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, well.
No.
I said what I said. Don't forget that if I've had a little bit to drink, I start to get a little more talkative.
No problem, man. I was kidding. I'm kidding, Andy.
It's all good, Greg.
Okay, so cheers.
Slantua. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting the virgin oak now.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's quite very well balanced with the blackberry wine. I like that.
Yeah.
And then you get
a certain je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi, yeah, absolutely.
How was your French food, Quig?
Oh, c'est pas pire.
You're fluent, aren't you?
You were saying, Leon?
You're fluent?
My French is a little different. My French is a little different from the Parisian French.
Mais moi aussi, je sais parler québécois, il n'y a pas de problème.
Tu sais parler québécois? Oh, fantastique.
Moi, je sais un petit peu, c'est pas le pire. C'est pas le pire, mais je me débrouille.
Tu débrouilles.
So I've just been doing my I've just been doing my citizenship practice tests, so I've got my citizenship exam coming up. And,
oh no!
You get to learn all these like facts about like French-speaking Canada, and yeah, it's quite interesting, really, the history. I think there's about 7 or 8 million francophones in Canada, and Montreal is the largest French-speaking city outside of Paris, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but much of Montreal is English speaking because that's where I'm from, and
Right.
And I only learned French as a third language.
Oh, okay.
My first language was German because
really?
my parents are from Austria, yeah, and so when I was little, you know, my langue maternelle was at home when I was little, we spoke German.
Das ist ein Kugelschreiber.
Sehr schön. Wunderbar.
Jawohl, mein Kommandant.
Schöne Whisky aus gute Fass. Fass is cask.
Having forgotten most of the German and having gone to school in English in Quebec, I did everything in English because my folks understood English better than French.
Leon have mais non, t'as raison. Leon is right. Oxidization, oxygen has done a lot of good to those samples, and honestly, they all got better. So I promise I don't say that to please Leon.
No, it's true. As the bottle goes down, typically they get better. However, I just recently acquired 10 bottles of whiskey that had been, this is a segue off topic kind of, but I have recently acquired 10 bottles of whiskey that have been in storage after having been opened.
Oh.
And they had been in storage for some 10 or 12 years. And I recently just tasted them, and they are, some of them are okay, and some of them are just horrible. Okay. But I'm going to be making videos of that soon. However, I do have this one here. This one is still sealed.
Oh, Macallan Final 10.
Still sealed. So this and 9 other bottles I got, and the 9 other bottles were in various levels of fill, and half of the corks were disintegrated. So I had to decant them and recork them. And
I had a problem with a whiskey I'm showing here to pay homage, but honestly, it's finished.
Something like this Oban 10 here, or Oban 14, I had to recork it.
I tried, but this is corked. Unfortunately, this is gone. This is the third or fourth bottle I had. Yeah, but it's from year 2000 and so, and it's a beautiful single cask that was very cheap, and it's a stunner. I love the label, paying tribute to the fishermen who worked partly at the distillery. But this is super corked. I decanted it several times, rinsed the bottle, put a bicarbonate, everything, and nothing can help. It is gone.
Yeah, so some of them but we're going back to Shelter Point, right? We're still on the double barrel batch 6.
Yeah, I love that. It has improved, and I'm gonna make the score higher,
and you've got the Foch cask. I still don't know what a Foch cask is, but that's what it said on the bottle, so I wrote it down.
Yeah, this is beautifully fruity, red fruit. There's also some almost waxiness. We're talking about Kleinish, but something noble, something maybe some icing sugar on top of a cake, candied fruit, but also some candied sugar, something very pastry-like, coming to enrich the wine profile, which is I like a lot.
The one that I liked a lot was the one that tasted like jelly donuts. Remember that one, Leon?
Yeah.
I sent the last that I had to Greg. That's the one I liked a lot.
Yeah, that was my first double barrel that I made as a blender.
That was batch one?
I'm not sure it was like the first ever batch. I think it was maybe the second batch.
The second batch.
2018, I think it was.
But
right. I specifically remember that.
This one.
Powdered jelly donut flavor, and yeah, it was delicious.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the fact there were the labels like the big ones.
Yeah.
But the typography has changed, right, Leon? You dropped the leaf here, right? Or is it me? Or it's only on the website?
Our labels are a work in progress. So we try things and then we're like, oh, okay, we don't like that. We'll put it back to the way it was before, or we'll try this.
Please don't get rid of the
all
leaf.
Of these have the label, the leaf on it above shelter point.
Yeah, the big bottles, they all tend to have the leaf on them, but we've tried things like putting holograms on them, or matte finishes, or gold embossing, or silver embossing, and we're still exploring the realm of possibility and seeing what works.
Yeah, those minis that I sent Greg were mostly from that tasting. What was it? An advent calendar. Say goodbye to the year 2020.
Yeah.
Or wait a minute, was it 2020 or? Yeah,
good night, exactly. 2020. Yeah,
that's the one where all the bottles ended up out of they fell out, and they were just in the box randomly, so they weren't in order.
Yes, Richard, keep the leaf.
Keep the leaf, absolutely.
You
keep
see
the leaf.
And I like to.
I have one.
I like that on our past whiskies comment as well about like the French speaking to Quebec people, and it's like Spanish people going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Oh, no. I don't want to hear about that.
It's a perfect parallel. Because if you hear people from Spain speaking and people from Mexico, you can tell it's a different language almost.
Yeah. Like they don't have the lisp.
Oh, the lisp. Yeah. Okay.
I have some issues here. Some delay with the messages, but we'll see. Okay, we're 1 hour, and I hope the connection will last. Should we do the 2 smoke points, or one is not called small? It's called single cask PEAT finish. Is it a smoke point cask strength?
That was a special bottle. That was one that I picked up at the distillery, not this summer, but the summer before. That's a refill. That had something else in it before, but that's from the single barrel.
No. So it's not a Leon. It's not a smoke point cask strength, right?
I'm not exactly sure which one you've got, but it's probably
it's 58.5.
If it's a peat influenced one, it's probably going to be Laphroaig cask, ex-Laphroaig cask.
Yeah.
If there's peat in there. Yeah.
But that was
just while we were talking about the calendars, I should also mention that this year we are going to fix the calendar problem. So hopefully there's going to be no bottles swilling around the bottom of the box. They'll all be in the correct place, and there'll be more available as well. There'll be about 450 to 500 units available for the advent calendar this year. So if you missed out last year, you got a lot better chance this year.
Okay. And I have to mention on my side, even if I'm sure that's sold out, there's 2 store picks for Strathcona liquor store, which I really recommend, that Andy sent me. There's one called Echoes of the Hebrides, and the other is called Patience is a Virtue, which was my favorite of the 2, by the way. And there's 2 very specific and cask strength ones I really recommend. There's many I recommend.
I don't know if they have any. I don't know if they have any more of those, because the last time I went down to the Strath was maybe 6 months ago, and I was looking
before we get into. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Before we get into smoky whiskeys and stuff, can you speak? I'm not going to try to that because I don't want to try all the samples, but I want to enjoy it later on. Can you please speak a bit, Leon, about this, and then after about the Forbidden? So this is the collective, which one of the best whiskies you did, I think.
Yeah. So the collective and the Forbidden were two very unique whiskies. First of all, the collective, that was our whiskey that celebrated the people of Shelter Point. So we're a very small team here. We're maybe like 5 or 6 full-time staff, and we're running the farm and the distillery, and we all have a jack of all trades kind of approach. And we thought, why not get everyone's favorite cask and mix them together to create the collective, a collective effort to celebrate the collective effort of the people of Shelter Point. So I think in that whiskey there is a wheat cask, malted barley, an unmalted barley, a virgin oak, and a wine cask. So you've got 5 different types of cask in there. So it's quite a complex blend of different flavors. But I think they married together very well. And yeah, you get a little bit of peat in there. And yeah, I think it just worked. It just somehow came together. And yeah, very unique expression for Shelter Point. The other one is the Forbidden here. Now, this is our 100% malted wheat whiskey. So the reason it's called Forbidden, 2 reasons. The first of all, you can't say malted wheat whiskey according to the SWA. You have to say single grain, but because we're in Canada, we're like, we don't care. We'll call it single malt wheat whiskey, which is actually more descriptive. It actually tells the customer more about the whiskey than just saying single grain whiskey.
Yeah, look out for lawsuits there, Leon.
It's free PR, you know, we don't mind. Yeah. Whatever.
And even
please don't sue us. If you're watching SWA, please don't sue us. The other reason it's called the Forbidden is it's the Forbidden Plateau is like a local landmark here. It's a very mysterious place. It's a hill with many trees, and it's apparently one of the places where you're most likely to see a Sasquatch in the whole of Canada. So there's lots of Bigfoot walking around, and you know, you can go up to these eerie cabins in the woods in the snow, and it's just a really like interesting place. So it's kind of named after Forbidden Plateau as well.
Oh, before I forget, can you say something about Leon, about your channel, because it's something that really struck me when you started it. It was very rare for a head distiller to do a channel in which he will review not only his whiskies but other brands' whiskies. So I found it super cool, and even sometimes challenging when you were tasting, I think it was the Madeira 21 in the snow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The Bushmills 21-year-old, that's right. Yeah. Well, I like to live dangerously, so yeah, I thought why not give distillers' point of view on whiskies and maybe talk a little bit more about how they're made rather than just, you know, like assessing flavor or whatever. So I would give my own unique take on it, and it's a bit of a multi-dimensional channel, I would say. So I review other whiskies, and I talk about Shelter Point whiskies as well, like what's happening in terms of releases, and maybe I'll give you some behind the scenes footage as well of what we're doing at the distillery.
I think this
and
is
the other weird thing that's in there is motorcycling as well. So there's a few motorcycling videos, and actually the most popular video by far has been the one about motorcycling. So maybe I should just do a channel about that instead. But you know, it's just a bit of fun. Every Wednesday I release a video. So yeah, check out Whisky Web.
So there will be a link in the description for your channel as well as for Andy over here. And yeah, what I like about your channel also is the simple, not very long for size of videos. You, not like me, you tend to be fun in a way when you do it outside, etc., outdoor, but also educational but accessible to many people. It's one thing I found interesting about it.
Yeah. If you want to become a distiller, or if you want to learn about blending or things, there's little videos that might help you on that journey as well. So yeah, there's educational aspect too. Yeah.
And the cost of the bottle was an interesting thing. Not many people talk about that, right?
Yeah, the hidden secrets of the industry. And, you know, when people find out just how much the liquid's worth in the bottle relative to how much they're paying for it, it can be a bit of an eye-opener.
Oh, I forgot to ask you about the warehouse we see on the Andes documentary visit. Is it underground or just because it feels like being in a mine, like underground, but not the new
The
one I
warehouse,
saw.
the warehouse is in a barn, and it's just like it's a wing of the barn, so it's a very long, dark tunnel kind of feeling to it.
I don't hear.
Especially when those lights go on.
Yeah, you get the lights going on, and they all go on like in a sequence.
But
it just gives you this very long perspective. So it's a very long.
Didn't you recently open up a new warehouse there, Leon?
Yeah, we're actually in the process right now of moving everything over from the old warehouse to the new warehouse. So the new one is more of like a vertical silo. So it's going to be a lot taller. We'll probably stack the barrels maybe like 4 or 5 high. And it'll be more like a cathedral of barrels.
What kind of aging do you search? You already gave us a clue. You prefer damp warehouses or you prefer rick houses like in the US?
Yeah, we have a palletized warehouse. Like my personal preference is to have a dunnage style warehouse with earthen floors and the casks sitting on their side. But due to practicality reasons, you know, it's easier with the forklift just to have them on pallets.
Yeah.
The good thing is where we are is that we're close to the ocean and we get a lot of storms coming in. You get that lovely like kind of sea spray, salty air, brininess, and you know, it's just a beautiful climate to make whiskey. The air is very clean, apart from when there's forest fires, which thankfully we didn't have too much of this year. And it's just, you know, it seems to be working. We're getting some nice results from the maturation process.
What's interesting is you got some forest fires, so you get a little bit of smoke from that, and then you get the storms off the sea. You get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It's very unique.
Good transition to a question to Andy.
Hope I can answer it.
Yeah. Well, of course. What were your thoughts while visiting the distillery? I think we can have an idea when we see the video, but compared to what you knew by tasting previously to the visit, what was your biggest surprise visiting the distillery, let's say production-wise on a consumer's level, let's say? Were surprised by the location, the stills, or the warehouse? I saw you were surprised by the infinite length of the warehouse. What was your biggest moment, let's say, for those who haven't seen yet the video? Spoiler, give us a spoiler to watch the video, let's say.
I very much enjoyed, but didn't film any part of the tour of the farm. When Leon took me around to the fields and to the ocean and to a nice little place where they have some benches and some tables right in this little grove of trees in between the fields of barley. And
that sounds like a spoiler for part 2, right? Just saying.
You know what? I'm going to have to come up and do some more filming there, Leon.
I think you should come up ASAP, FOODQUIG. We'll get you filming the tour of the farm, and then you can do your part 2.
Let's make a date, okay? 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Ooh.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Done. Okay. I will come up on Friday. I don't know what the date is. What does my calendar say?
That sounds like a deal indirect, right?
It's the 18th.
Let me just check my calendar.
Too bad I'm not in.
Coming up. Today is the 18th. So 2 weeks from now would be October 1st. I'll be there in the evening.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. Bring your wee car, and yeah, you
I'll
can
bring
stay
my bring my wee car and my wee phone to make a wee video.
Stay in one of the rooms here, and then you don't have to worry about driving or anything. You know.
Oh,
Just,
perfect.
Yeah. You should do that because.
What did I say about hospitality? This is just fantastic.
Yeah, maybe we should just like put it out on Facebook or something. Just have a huge party and get like 1,000 people around here or something. One of the things we did recently was I had like some First Nations pals come down from like Port Hardy and places like all over the island, and there must have been about 10 or 12 First Nations folk here, and we actually took them all to the warehouse, and they got in a big circle, and they were all singing to the barrels, like that chanting that you get.
Oh, cool.
All the barrels have been blessed now, so we're in safe hands.
Right now,
that would be our next tasting.
May I interject just for a moment? This is the rye that was aged at Shelter Point, and it's been open for what is it, half an hour or more, and it's getting
you have it on your glass? You have it on your glass?
In the glass. It's beautiful.
Okay, so
I just need to show something to everyone out there. So if you ever have one of these glass stopper bottles, don't try pulling it out like a normal cork, because it's difficult. The seal's too good.
You can show how it works if you like.
You push from the side, then it just pops up. Push from the side for an easy
Good job, Leon. I went through about 4 or 5 bottles before I knew that.
Yeah.
I discovered that for the wine bottle I bought once, and I said, "Oh, this must be now like Shelter Point." I don't know if the different processes.
Yeah, and I think it was mentioned already at one time. Somebody said something about Waterford. It's the same deal.
Yeah. I think we need to put like a neck tag on the bottle or something just to explain.
Instructions to open.
Yeah. A little pamphlet.
Yeah. Quick conventions, that's cool. Okay, now on to some peat. How about that? Smoke point.
Yes, absolutely.
This is 50%. So please tell us, Leon, about this expression.
So smoke point is our shortcut to peat. So the one thing we don't have here at Shelter Point is our own malting facility. So we can't actually produce our own peated malt. And because we have to use all BC grain, we have to find other ways of getting peat into the whiskey, because nobody in BC does peated malt. So one thing we thought of was using ex-Islay barrels to mature our whiskey in, to finish them off. So we have ex-Laphroaig, we have ex-Ardbeg barrels that we've finished our whiskey in. And all the smoke point releases so far have been ex-Laphroaig finished whiskies. And I think you've got batch number 2 there, Greg, if I'm correct. And this one here is batch 3. Oh no, this is batch 2 as well. Beg your pardon. Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's from 2020. That's all I know.
Yeah. We've got the same one here. So this one here is 50% alcohol, and it's been finished for 18 months in ex-Laphroaig barrels. The latest release we just put out was finished for 2 years in ex-Laphroaig barrels. So like each release is getting a bit more peat influence.
Okay, well, I have that one, but I haven't opened it yet. So
batch 2. It's written batch 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm going with Smoke and Oak.
Oh yeah.
Thankfully.
I haven't opened my batch 3 yet, but I have the Smoke and Oak here, which...
So Smoke and Oak is our other smoke experiment. So with this one, we've actually used local peat, and we used applewood smoke.
Right.
So we've used a bit of wood and local peat. And I think for that one, we actually smoked the liquid and the barrel. So very, very innovative, very, very unusual, something you would never see in Scotland.
I'm getting some of that applewood influence on the nose.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
here we are all trying different whiskeys at the same time.
It's all good as long as it's tasty.
How this has changed, I'm still confused.
I have yet to try anything from Shelter Point that isn't tasty.
Correct answer. I'm
It
glad
did
you're
improve.
here.
There was a big problem at the opening of the sample, but now it's nice. I have the half of the estery profile and half of the smoky Islay profile, and it's a battle between some citrus fruit and vanilla and some slightly ashy smoke, but still very gentle.
Oh yeah,
It's quite interesting between the Laphroaig barrels and the Ardbeg barrels, because the Laphroaig barrels is definitely more iodine, seaweed, kind of briny, peaty smoke in there. Ardbeg, a lot kind of sweeter, vanilla, maybe a bit more lemony. Yeah.
Laphroaig can be also very fruity, you know, exotic fruit. The Laffies from the 80s were absolutely crazy.
From Laphroaig, I usually get a lot of citrus, like lime and lemon.
Yeah. Which is why it goes so well with oysters. It's just perfect.
Yes. The more I drink, the better it tastes. I mean, this is
so much better than the first tasting. It's day and night.
There's one problem with these Shelter Point bottles.
Yeah.
Is that they get empty real soon.
They evaporate quickly, don't they?
Yes, they do. Those angels are having a ball up there.
I think we calculated that we lost something like 9,000 liters worth of whiskey due to the angels last year.
9,000 liters?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So we got some thirsty angels around here.
It's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting for me because it kind of tends for me to get closer, not to Laphroaig or maybe some indie refill bourbon Laphroaigs, but more for me to some independent bottling of Ardmore that I have home. I'm thinking of a 20 years old I have archives, which is kind of similar. It's not as similar. Ardmore tends to be a bit more ashy and also drier, but here there's some enchanting half tropical, half citrus fruit, lemony notes, which I found very sweet, very nice. It's way more gentle than the first dram I had. The first sip I have of this one, of the sample, just opened, was super ashy and super weird. So these need times. They have been crafted with care, so they need some time in the glass. They need to get some oxygen. And you need to have a bottle instead of a sample. That's simple as that. But yet I'm very grateful to Andy for all these, because it takes time, of course, to experience them, and great opportunity. But really, I hope we will have at least 2 or 3 expressions here in France, one peated, one unpeated, one maybe a wine barrel, I don't know, to give people here the real the impressions what this distillery can deliver. Because for me, without having tried them, I was thinking of Shelter Point, of a kind of a Westland for US distillery on your side, but this is different. But it's interesting. It's as exciting experience. I think Westland is a distillery. I did award in 2016 for innovation and the quality of their core range, and I hope I will have the occasion to get some Shelter Points here officially and in my shops.
What's interesting? What's interesting is that Westland is closer to me in distance than Shelter Point. But it's closer in distance if you look at the map. But
Seattle is in orange down there.
Yeah. So, but Westland is not as available to me as Shelter Point, because Shelter Point, as soon as they announce that they have a new release, I can just order it online and boom, it shows up.
Yeah, but it's BC and it's United States. So
exactly.
I guess,
exactly.
Yeah.
But even though physically Westland is closer than Shelter Point is closer to me by experience.
Emotionally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, by the way, Leon, about all these new American, and we talk about Canadian later on, but new American craft distilleries, let's say from Westland to the new ones. What's your thought on these ones, which are now open to the single malt category, while they were mostly bourbon, rye, wheat before that?
The more good single malt there is out there, the better.
Absolutely.
Everyone's better off.
Amen. Amen to that.
I don't discriminate between any country, region, anything, like the more good single malt there is, the better.
There you go.
They got some good single malts out of the States. I've been getting into Stranahan's lately, and Westward and Westland. They're not as available as I would have hoped, but I'm getting some samples from a friend of mine in the States every now and then.
It's the biggest frustration working for a craft distillery. It's just our lack of supply. So many people around the world are calling out for
the demand is high,
whether it's in Ontario or France or South Africa or Australia or China, and we've only got like so much stock, and we want to serve our home market first, and then as we grow our stock, we want to push it further and further afield. But it's a very slow process.
That's the problem, the supply, the demand outweighs the supply. And so you've got people in, say, Sweden, for example. How come I can't get this here? Well, that's because it only reaches so far. I mean, there's still people in Ontario who are wondering why the LCBO doesn't carry all of your expressions. And it's like there isn't that much to go around.
Yeah, we can't even cater for the whole of the Canadian market right now, never mind the international market.
Exactly. You can maybe cover BC. BC, not too bad. But, there was one sample, or one bottle a month ago or so that I tried to get. And I was traveling between Montreal and here. So I was on the plane and had no access to my email where the Shelter Point announcements come on. And by the time I got to the email in the evening or at night, the announcement went out in the morning and it sold out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
When I got here at night, there was none left. I wanted to order some, but oh no, sold out. Too bad.
Yeah.
That's how and the more that the word about Shelter Point gets out there to the public, people are going to want it even more and more and more, and it's going to be even harder and harder to get.
Yeah, well, especially
the single barrel releases. They're sold out within 4 or 5 hours.
And this book is not going to help because it's good things about your distillery, Leon, and you know that. So I think you have a nice press praise of those who could try it.
Is that the book from De Kergamo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna receive him. He sent me some samples. I'm gonna have him live. Hopefully
that book just won best book in the world for drinks in the Gourmand Drink Book Awards or something like that. So it's going to be even more popular now because it just won a big award. So good on Davin. Cheers to Davin.
I didn't get the lesson.
The plan next year is to make bigger batch sizes. So we're planning larger batch sizes next year to try and give people a better chance of getting their hands on a bottle.
I'm definitely behind that.
Yeah. I mean, it'll still be a struggle to get one of the single cask releases, and we'll probably do maybe 4 of those a year. But for the other expressions, we'll try and make them larger batches.
I'll just try and be here as soon as the announcements go out so I can make my order.
Or just send me a text and I'll put one by for you.
I'm sure you'll find out.
Let's just say that. Why don't you just put one aside for me no matter what?
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah. I'll just send you the bill every month.
Yeah, okay. As long as you send me the bottles. Sure.
Question now for Andy. If I want to have, and it's a pity if it's finished, I will see if I can save some. If I want to have your double barrel, shall I have it before the single cask pitted finish, I guess?
My double barrel, or do you mean my...
Infinity, sorry.
Infinity.
Which I thought for some time it was a double barrel.
I don't know. It's up to you. We've got two left. We've got a cask strength, and I think the one I sent you was the one from 2017, which was which I was lucky enough to purchase at the Tudor House liquor store some time ago. But I still had some, and I sent you some. But I don't have any of that left. Okay. What I have is the 10-year-old. I guess we can go 10-year-old. So yeah, you can go cask strength.
Okay. No,
depends what you
want.
Have
this one a bit before, just to give you my impression.
That one would be lower alcohol content. Yes. So I have a version of the Infinity bottle here, which Leon doesn't have.
Just to pay tribute to you, who sent me kindly.
And that's the one from 6 or 7 months ago when I sent it to you. It's a work in progress. It's an evolution, and
it's a masterpiece.
How many expressions of Shelter Point are in your Infinity bottle, FOODQUIG?
Most of them.
All of them.
most of them, and a couple of samples from the warehouse.
Well, when you come up in 2 weeks' time, please bring a sample of that, because I would love to try it.
I'll bring you a whole freaking bottle. How's that?
All right. Sure.
Okay, you want to hear my impressions?
Okay, wait. Mine is an evolution of the one that Greg has.
So delicious, complex, a bit pastry-like nose.
This one's coming to you, Leon. I'll bring it.
Okay.
Oh, there's a bit of everything in here.
Also a bit leafy in a way. There's
Lychee.
some wine influence, but not so much. Maybe menthol.
Okay.
I mean green, vegetal.
I'm going to see if I can find something.
This is very complex.
It's got everything.
I don't know how many expressions you know how many expressions you put in there?
Oh,
you don't remember? Maybe you didn't know.
I do not remember. Every time I would try a Shelter Point, every time I'd open a bottle, I would pour 1 dram, 1 dram like this, 1 quig-sized dram into the bottle. And it got to be so much that, hold on a second. I had so much volume of Shelter Point Infinity that I had to start another bottle. So I've got two Infinities.
I would love to blend some of those things and see what's going on, but I will.
Well, when the bottle was full, I poured half of it into the other, and then I kept filling. So these are all.
Let's all move to Vancouver Island.
Oh, gosh.
Get some Shelter Point.
Okay, so we've got the Infinity.
I'm not doing the anaconda, but I'm trying to like this, right?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Leon's gone because he doesn't have any.
Did you see it?
He's pulled the quig. He's gone. He's not there.
It's a tribute.
Oh, there he is. Oh, what have you got?
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? So, since you're having a blend, I think I'll have some of this Canada Club 1972.
Oh,
I saw the video.
Cool.
Nice. Ooh.
You know what,
this is This is spicy, floral, fruity. There's some wine influence, but it is tamed. There's some warming, embracing all your palate. Fruit, candied fruit, and red apples.
Now this is 7 months later. This is 7 months later, Greg. It's even better because it's had several shelter point expressions added to it from the one you have.
Nice.
And it's had some marrying time as well, so it'll be more.
And it's had marrying time, definitely. And I don't think you saw this, Leon, but I do have 2 bottles.
One of which you're bringing up here, right?
One of which I will bring, definitely. Definitely, you got it.
Part of the Shelter Point Innovation Panel, aren't you, FOODQUIG?
This is delicious, but if all the whiskeys are delicious, the result must be delicious, right?
Well, if you put quality in, you
the very
get
definition
out,
of synergy.
Nice.
Quality
this could be bottled. I will be happy to get this if it was bottled. Honestly.
Oh, man.
No, true.
Unfortunately, there's only 2 bottles in existence right now.
Well, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have mentioned it. We'll say, oh,
I think we need to get both of you on the Shelter Point virtual blending panel, perhaps.
Ah. Well, you know what? Just put us on your payroll. We'll be happy.
I can't travel right now, so I'm in prison. But it's my freedom choice.
Well, you can always work online.
Well, even at a distance for the French distillery, I had to wait to let people move. There was a lockdown and curfew at some point in the month of May. They said this day it's going to be stopped, and I called back the distillery to say, now I can't go. Can someone pick me at the nearest railway station, because it's remote? I have no car, no driving license.
I'm ready now.
It's remote for everywhere. So, and they brought me there. And
Greg?
Sorry,
where do you live in France?
Oh, I'm in Paris.
Oh, you're in Paris. Okay. Yeah.
And the distillery I'm talking about is in Normandy. I won't mention which one yet, but some might have some clue.
I think I know them, Greg.
I can tell you in private. I'm a bit superstitious.
I've had a bottle or 2 from those guys. You know what I think of this?
Well, we're live.
Yeah. Garbage. Trash. But, you know, it's strange. We had this mask thing for about 8 or 9 months. And then the 1st of July, they said, you don't need a mask no more.
Oh, yeah, you're not talking about the whiskey. You're talking about the...
I'm sorry. I shouldn't talk about that. No. Okay. I shouldn't talk about that.
I was afraid.
Let's get back to whiskey.
No, but you know
what?
After
the live bit, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, I will speak about this also after.
But that's where you can't travel, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we move on to the last one? Because I may have messed up with the casting.
Oh man.
No, I don't have.
There's no such thing as a correct order, Greg. So you're fine. Whatever order you got.
I don't have the artisanal cask strength. I think I mixed up with that one, single cask pit finish.
You have a cask strength of some kind there, Greg. I know that.
Just mix them all together, and then you'll have a great time.
Well, that's this one here, right here.
No, this one is a double-barreled.
There was one that you wanted to do that was cask strength.
Yeah, it's the last one. It's the single cask peat finish, which was called my favorite. By you,
it was my favorite. That's why it's all gone. There's no more. I have no more.
58.5.
Was that Echoes of the Hebrides or something else?
No. I have those 2 that were beautiful.
That was the single barrel from last summer. Last summer.
Okay.
Let me.
Last summer you had the smoke point, and I went camping for a week, and then I went back to the distillery and I picked up another bottle, which was the cask strength. It was a single barrel Laphroaig.
Okay.
This one,
single cask PEAT.
Yeah, this one is
cask PEAT.
It's 2020 single cask PEAT finish, American Oak and ex-Islay casks.
Yes.
FOODQUIG'S favorite. It's written on the label.
And long gone.
58.5.
My favorite too. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite shelter points. That
So
one.
do you have something equivalent maybe to try along with me, or?
Well,
because it's poured already.
What I can do is I can take some of the artisanal cask strength single malt,
yeah,
and blend it with some
smoke point.
Yeah, I could do that.
Nice.
Or I could just drink it straight up. But whoa! But right now this one here.
Yeah.
This is the one with infinity bottle is wonderful. Oh man,
I believe you're talented even by random.
It's so complex. It's got a little bit of everything in it.
It's a bit like the Collective.
Oh, I love the Collective as well.
Take the Collective and multiply it by about 30.
Well, the Collective was in my Whiskey of the Year 2020, I think. I mentioned it. Yeah. Don't know if you've seen that, Leon.
I did, yeah. No, I appreciate
the Collective was excellent, and I just
that was very kind.
Yeah. I just finished it a week or two ago.
Wow.
But it was good.
Well, one of the things we want to do at Shelter Point is like taste the grain bowl. So we're a farm distillery, so we grow wheat, barley, rye, and one of the things we can do is just have immense complexity in terms of the different types of grain we use, the different types of cask we use to finish the whiskies. So we can end up with some really, really complex little blends that we could do using spirit all from one distillery, which is quite unusual.
Yes. No, you guys are doing a wonderful job up there. I don't think anyone else or any other distillery is quite as innovative as you guys.
Yeah, we're pretty nutty. I mean, like our owner, Patrick, says, never let fear or good judgment get in the way.
Wise words.
A wonderful expression, especially when you want to be innovative. You know, you just try things and see if they work.
Absolutely.
So on this map, I see there's still some distilleries around, but not so much, right? Not so many.
Well, the first craft distillery in BC opened around 2008, something like that. Yeah. And since then, we're up to about 70 distilleries now.
In BC only?
In BC. So there's been a huge explosion in distilleries in British Columbia. Now, a majority of those do not make any substantial amount of whiskey. Most of them are white spirits.
Okay.
It's definitely an evolving scene here, and it's becoming more interesting by the year.
And I'm right in the middle of it because I keep doing these. You know, every time I find a bottle somewhere, I will buy it just because it's there and I've not tried it before.
One thing I tried at the Whiskey Club last time, the Copper House Whiskey Club that I run, is the first cask ever from Pemberton or Valley Organic Distillery, you know, like in north of Whistler. Have you ever tried that stuff?
I don't know. No.
Yeah. Really interesting. They are basically like the potatoes of Bubba Gump. Remember like Bubba Gump from Forrest Gump with the shrimps?
Yeah,
like shrimp.
Yes, I remember all about those. They're
basically the same, but with potatoes. Like it's all about potatoes.
Okay.
But they've done a couple of single malt whiskies as well, and it's really interesting. Like very, very unusual whiskey.
Leon, there's a question I forgot to ask. I see on my text sheet. It's about what I call wood technology. It's when distilleries want to provoke or enhance some notes contrarily to others and tend to rely, I don't think you are in that case, but rely too much on heavily charring the cask and heavily toasting and not much more else. So when you video of the visit of Andy's visit, we see you had some virgin oak heavily charred, but how about the regular core range expressions? Some, for instance, the one we tried. Will you go rather for some toasting and light charring, or what's your thoughts and your policy about the balance between toasting, charring?
A vast majority of the casks we have had no additional toasting or charring whatsoever. So we get them direct from Kentucky or Tennessee, from the likes of Kelvin Cooperage, and we just get them once they've been dumped by the bourbon distilleries, and we don't do anything to them. You know, we just take them as they are, fill them with our own whiskey, and that's it. Now, with the virgin oak stuff, we did get to choose the char level, and we did go for heavily charred. We went for char number 4. So it's more of an alligator char. The reason we did that is because we wanted the most flavor impact possible, because we were using them for finishing whiskies, and you get a real deep penetration into the wood, get this lovely intense dark caramel flavor coming through, and you even get a little barbecue smokiness as well from the heavy char. And I think that's worked really well with our spirits. We're very pleased with the results. But we've also done some virgin oak with a lighter char as well. So some sort of medium toast kind of virgin oak. And we're still waiting for the results from those. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to compare that to the heavily charred stuff.
And maybe to see if it come close to bourbon or bourbon whiskey category, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely get some of that bourbon character just from the maturation alone. Obviously, you don't have the same like corn sweetness, but
yeah, sure.
Yeah, you do have that similar cask influence, which is really interesting, especially to the North American palate, because bourbons are very well.
Yeah, and shall we say you're the only one of BC distilleries using those Scottish Forsyth stills, pot stills, or
there's a couple of distilleries. So Victoria Caledonian, which is also on Vancouver Island, in fact, very close to FOODQUIG there, just up the road.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes drive from here. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got Forsyth stills. Also, Copper Works Distillery in Seattle, they've got Forsyth stills as well. So that there's a few producers in the area that are using those traditional copper pot stills from Scotland. But I would say it's just a handful, like no more than like 3 to 5 or so.
But they don't do those long fermentation you do, so the result will be different anyway.
They might do, you know. I mean, like the thing is with craft is that you don't have the same regularity as the Scotch industry, where they're using their distilleries at 24/7 levels, you know, like continuous production throughout the year, apart from like 1 month
so
off.
There's more batch variations, you mean?
Yeah, especially
quality, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like the craft industry is a lot more variable, I would say. You know, like the big distilleries, they've got their recipe down, they're just hammering it out, you know, they know exactly what they're doing, whereas we're still trying to discover our raison d'etre. You know, we're still trying to discover what works best with our equipment, our grain, our people, everything.
What I found nice, I hear you, Leon, I hear you. What I found nice watching the priceless Andy's video about Shelter Point is that although you have a high level of automatization, like you saw the notepad with this is distilling, this is fermenting, this is this and this, let's 4 people only in the regular stuff, right? You said.
Yeah.
But still, it comes the result, the final product still comes across as craft. And this is maybe the major goal you achieved there. I can only say that by tasting, but this seems to be successful in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much still the distiller's art, because although we have a control panel, all that does is really just control the valves and the pumps. You know, we can turn them on and off
and the cut
electronically,
the cut is super important.
But all the rest is determined by the distiller. So, you know, we're still using our nose, we're still using our palates, we're still choosing how long to ferment and at what temperatures, and all that is still down to the people at Shelter Point.
Sure.
So although we do have technology, the technology doesn't override the whole process. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, of course, you enter the data anyway, so it's not a random thing.
And our spirit safe is still manually controlled. So all I'm doing is turning a handle between the faints and the heart of the run. And that's all down to when you think it's best to take the hearts. And that's something that you can't easily replicate with robots.
Yeah.
No, you have a feeling for it. And when you feel it's right, that's when you switch it, right?
Well, your spirit is like your child, you get to know instinctively when the best point is, because you're so familiar with it. You're spending so much time with this spirit. You get to know all its characteristics, and you get to know all its nuances, and then you're like, okay, yeah, you just instinctively know. And
now it's time.
Although we measure everything like ABV and volume and temperatures, all that kind of stuff, it's still very much down to your gut instinct, and I think that's a good thing. It shows that there's like a personal component of the spirit.
I think it shows in the video, even if you go quick in the first minutes on the distillery itself, it still shows in your approach, and comes across nicely. I have a beautiful nose opening up while we speak. It's some, not waxy, but some silky, almost silky and icing sugar, again, of French pastries, a thing I can rely to.
Oh, don't get me started on those French pastries.
Millefeuille, millefeuille, French millefeuille. With the almond.
Yeah. I'm thinking back on the time when I was there at the distillery the first time, and we were just sitting in those great big leather chairs, and we were sipping on some.
Swallowing you, I heard that.
We were just sipping on some whiskey and just sitting there and relaxing, and that was one of the best times I've had in the last 5 years.
Well, you said paradise. You mentioned paradise in the video.
I did mention paradise.
I saw it several times.
Come back for more paradise.
In 2 weeks there, Leon. I'm looking
Cheers to paradise.
And also, Greg, last time I visited France, I remember fondly, I was staying around the Sacre-Cœur, and we got this bottle of wine, and then we went to the cheese shop, and then they matched the cheese to the wine, and just like the effort that they put in.
Good food pairings to do.
Oh, it's incredible. And what kind of cheeses would you recommend that you have with whiskey?
Well, it depends the whiskey. I didn't thought of that while doing my notes, but I think there's some obvious choices. The smoke point, I think, will go well with Comté, or Comté or Morbieu, which is from Jura, the Jura region of France. While this one seems to be more smoky, but I don't know. I have to try it again. The ones that are fruitier, the first ones, even I think the Montfort will go very well with some Tome de Savoie, which is some sweet, not hard, but pressed cheese that goes from Savoie, is the Alps, French Alps. So you got nice, sweet, a bit salty, but not too much cheeses that can go with. I will be tempted to say bring the whiskies, and I find the pairings.
We'll make some cheeses. Yeah.
And bring Andy, and we do a whole session.
Whiskey and cheese. You guys are way ahead of me on this, because I'm absolutely no expert. I
can bring, despite I think you have issues and a bit maybe like me, Andy, and we can bring, if you can eat dessert still. You cannot.
Well, yeah, despite being diabetic, I cheat all the time.
Wow. So nobody's listening.
It's all right, I'll taste anything, anytime, it's all good. I take pills.
Could work.
So it goes.
But for me, the most spectacular thing I ever saw, and it's a tip I can give you guys. You know the French cheese that's called Roquefort? You know the pressed cheese with some like rotten blue things.
Yeah.
Blue things like foot fungus from 1382. Yeah, okay.
Roquefort and also bleu, the blue cheese, which is slightly different.
I'm not a big fan of that, but anyway.
Yeah, but listen, the most spectacular food pairing you can do so far, for me, in my experience, is this Roquefort or blue cheese with Lagavulin 16. You take a little of the cheese with a bit of bread in your mouth. After you have kept some Lagavulin in your mouth, and it's an explosion.
Wow! Yeah.
Now, if you don't like blue cheese, take some Talisker or maybe some Smoke Point, and have some smoked salmon with it. Yeah. And even pour a bit on it.
Smoked salmon is the only kind of salmon that I like.
Oh, there you go.
If you give me any other salmon besides the smoked one and sliced really thin, that's great.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, you know what to do. Smoked salmon and sheltered Smoke Point, something like that.
Smoke Point. Okay, gotcha.
Maybe, I don't know.
The good thing about Eastern Canada and France is that the cheese selection is way, way better. And I remember in a restaurant, I think it's called Kesmet in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And it's a really, really great restaurant. And they had Talisker 8-year-old, which is pretty much cask strength, I think. And they paired a cheese with it. I think it was called Laphroaig. Have you heard of that one, Greg? Laphroaig?
No.
Oh, it was just...
Talisker goes super well with cheese, with Comté, with all sorts of...
Oh, it's one of my food highlights of my life. Like when I'm dying on my deathbed and going through all those fabulous meals I've had or fabulous like food and drink experiences, that's probably going to be one of them. Sublime whiskey with incredible cheese. And just like you were saying with the Lagavulin and the Roquefort, it's just like an explosion. It's just like an explosion of flavor. And it's like perfect harmony. Just works so well together. Unforgettable.
I believe you.
I wish there was more good cheese in Western Canada, because cheese here is kind of like rubber bricks. It's
oh no, we don't want
nowhere good as Paris.
I'm searching for a translation here because I have a doubt, and I will tell you what I think could be a good pairing. Okay, so some say sea scallop, right? Sea scallop, coquille Saint-Jacques from the sea. I think if you just had this with a very light sauce or just some lemon, very light herbs, even not botanicals, but some aneth or stuff like that. And on the side, you have some Smoke Point, which replaces some Kulila, let's say. I think you can have a nice moment with those two. It's a guess.
That sounds delicious, Greg.
You can try that.
Put this theory to the test.
What are we drinking now? I don't even remember.
I am in the single cask pit finish you sent to me for.
Okay. So I'm still drinking some of this stuff. This is the 10-year-old, the first and only age stated.
That's great.
Shelter Point.
Yeah, that's a milestone whiskey.
Oh, that is a milestone whiskey, and I think I ordered 2 bottles. So
congrats for making it to 11 or 10.
10 years. 10 years as
congrats for making
July the
10,
11th. Yeah.
10 years old.
Congrats.
And that,
well, what's 10 years in terms of wedding? Is that like 10 or something? Is this our 10th anniversary?
This is
Bon
your
anniversaire,
seasonal
then.
cask strength single malt, aged 10 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I hope to
The
try
second to
some
last
someday.
one that I received in the mail. The last one I received in the mail was the, what is it?
This is delicious. This is of some kind of big brother of the smoke point for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. The single cask PEAT is exceptional. Really, really good.
Oh, Smoke Point 3. That's the last one I received in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah, the 10-year-old cask strength I've finished already. It didn't last long.
You know what, Leon? Andy must be now your honorary member of the distillery. Something like some distinction of a, you know.
Well, that's the problem. You see, these things they disappear too fast, too soon, and so all of the samples that I sent Greg, what was it, 6 or 7 months ago,
13.
I don't have any left.
Yeah, me too. Same boat.
You make me feel guilty now.
They're all gone.
Yeah,
and I'm praising them, so people will say, "Let's buy them now." But I'm not the only one. I saw Trenny and C did some good reviews about them. Rob from Whisky in the Six did praise them as well. He did a bunch of them in 2 videos, I think. So you're getting covered by a lot of.
You're gonna get very popular there, Leon.
Yeah.
Because you've got all these guys on YouTube singing the praises of your whiskeys, and I'm just a small participant. But well, these guys are big. They just they cry out, shelter point, shelter point, shelter point.
Brand ambassador, an official brand ambassador.
you will have no worries of being sold out. You will sell every bottle that you make.
We're a family distillery, and it appears to me that our family is just getting bigger and bigger all the time. So it's really nice to get that kind of feedback where people are enjoying what we're doing.
I'm super proud to be a part of that family because, man, this stuff does not. There is no rival to this.
We're just trying to show off the best of BC.
It is different. It's something different.
Yeah, show BC Canada to the world. That's what it's all about. It's a good place to make whiskey.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah, good climate.
What happened to Greg now?
Good wood.
Good gosh, where did he go?
He's getting some cheese out the fridge, I think.
Ah, that sounds like a plan.
Okay, so it's a bit more than 2 hours, and I don't want to put my system. Not me. I'm okay. I'm fine with good whiskey and good company, but my computer system to the test too much. So maybe, what do you think, guys? We can maybe wrap it up in a few minutes. I will ask you some kind of conclusion, informal conclusion, and then we can.
You're the host, Greg. It's up to you.
This is the time for the quick fire quiz. So maybe like 5 minutes of quick fire questions. One or two word answers.
Okay, so guys in the chat, you're still 6 brave people. If you have quick fire questions, otherwise I will find some. Okay, Leon, tough question for you. For some reason, Shelter Point is closed for 1 year, but they're calling you in UK to run for 1 year a distillery instead of Shelter Point. You have the choice of any distillery you want. Which one you will run?
Springbank. That was easy.
Yeah, that's the answer I was waiting for. Well done. And
or maybe Isle of Harris. Actually, I like Isle of Harris just because I love the island so much.
I was surprised you didn't say Laphroaig though.
Well, I love Isla. Like I could do any distiller in Islay as well, or Talisker, or like any distillery in Scotland, basically.
One for Andy now.
Uh-oh.
One for.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
If you like, if you like. Well, it's
Yeah.
all gentle questions, guys. It's some dreamy questions. Kind of same question, but you have the occasion, Andy, to visit a distillery in UK, all things paid, of course. And it can be anyone, but you just have to pick one. And it's complete visit with full tastings, 5, 6, 7 expressions and the food and everything. Which one will you choose?
And that includes airfare and food
and the hotel
everything?
And yeah, let's say a weekend stay at the distillery.
A weekend stay at.
Which one will you pick? It's difficult.
But you know, even though I have some limitations on Octomore, I would say Bruichladdich.
Okay, interesting. So you got the unpeated and the peated in the same distillery.
Well, I definitely enjoy Port Charlotte, or I have enjoyed Port Charlotte in the past. And so, yeah, Bruichladdich would be it.
Okay,
good choice.
Nice.
No question. No. That I love. You know, when I was on a tour a couple of years ago, I was on Islay and we went to several distilleries, but we did not go to Bruichladdich.
Oh.
We went to the other one to the north of the island.
Kilchoman? Coolilla?
Yes, we went to Kilchoman, and we went to the other one.
The new art.
Coolilla? Bunnahabhain? Bowmore?
No,
I have the map behind.
We went to Bowmore and we went to Bunnahabhain, but we did not go to the other one we were talking about.
You have Coolilla on.
Bruichladdich.
Yeah.
What about you, Greg? Where would you go?
Bruichladdich was the one that I missed because our tour didn't go there.
Okay.
Because
they were closed for visitors for that week. I don't know what. You know, it was early in the year. It was like March of 2019. So,
FOODQUIG, I think we should do a trip. We'll go to Scotland and I'll take you to Bruichladdich.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Another question for Leon. Another question for Leon. Sensitive one. Your favorite distillery in Canada outside from Shelter Point? Or your favorite expression of Canadian whiskey? And you don't have the right to say Canadian Clubs 1972 because I saw it on eBay. Sorry, my friend.
Well, you know what? It is actually a Canadian Club, though. It's the 40-year-old because that whiskey blew my mind. The 40-year-old Canadian Club, 40-year-old, and it was only $250 or something. 40-year-old whiskey. It was 100% corn, but it was aged in rye casks. And when I had that whiskey, I was just blown away. I was just like, wow, a 40-year-old whiskey for less than £200 UK. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, that whiskey to me just shows you what incredible value you can get in Canadian whiskey.
Interestingly enough, I had a dram of that this morning. It was
40-year-old Canadian Club?
The 40-year-old Canadian Club.
For breakfast.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that stuff, that is a wonderful whiskey.
I think Davin sent me a sample of the 41 Canadian Club. I'm not 100% sure.
The 41 isn't the same. The 41 has something added to it because you're allowed to put like 10% of something else in it.
He's got a 42, Andrew.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
42. Yeah, 42. I've had.
They're doing 40 to 45. They're doing like 5 years worth.
What's
so there's
what's
be
the
another
oldest? Is it the oldest Canadian whiskey possible? I mean, the oldest.
It was at the time. The first time they released the 40-year-old, that was the oldest official bottling of any Canadian distillery ever.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah. And now they've done the 41, the 42. I think they're at 43 now, are they?
I have the 43, and the bottle's almost open, almost empty. The 44 should be coming out real soon now.
Yeah.
But I still have the 40, and that's wonderful. It's beautiful. And it's 100% corn.
Yeah.
I listened to, guess what? In France, we're not able to present 20 years old from any distillery, despite the oldest distillery producing whiskey is from 1983, first year of production. They don't have more than, now the oldest one is having a 16 years old whiskey. That's all. It's Armoric, the Warangem distillery. Otherwise,
Armoric,
they didn't keep stock.
Yeah. I remember them. Yeah.
So why don't they allow more than 20 years old?
Sorry?
Well, why don't they allow more than 20 years old?
No, it's not. I didn't speak well. It's not they don't allow. It's they didn't keep stock. They didn't keep stock.
Okay. Yeah.
So we don't have anything at 18 years old or 20, which is French. Weird.
It will come.
Oh yeah, sure. We were having a boom now in distilleries. So
yeah, I mean, one day there'll be a 20-year-old Shelter Point. So we'll all get there someday.
Oh, Leon,
that will be such a milestone.
Another 12 years for that one.
Yeah, no, it'll be a while.
I hope to make it.
I'll be retired and I'll be driving around a motorhome all over North America, and hopefully I'll make it. Hopefully, I'll make my way to BC again.
You can just camp on Shelter Point's property for 10 years and wait for it.
Oh, you're so generous. Yeah, okay, that's a plan. We're looking forward to that one.
Okay, guys, I think this will be a nice conclusion. So I would like to thank you so much for making it for tonight and spending your time, precious and remote time with me here in tiny France. Thank you so much. And please wait a bit and I will add in the description timestamps, and also I think the links will be very quickly there for Leon's website, and of course head over to Google Shelter Point Distillery and you will find a website easily, and then check out FOODQUIG'S channel and FOODQUIG'S video about Shelter Point. There are a lot.
Greg, and it's been a blast. Thank you very much.
No, me thank you.
And
you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Yeah, thanks for putting this all together. Much appreciated.
Yeah, great.
Thanks for this great opportunity, and see you off stage now. Bye, everyone. Thanks for your support. Thanks for coming in. It was great. And see you soon for other live shows and other videos about whiskey. Cheers, guys.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.